We are on Mikvaot, Parak Dal Mishnah Gimel, third Mishnah in the fourth chapter of Masechet Mikvaot. We're talking about a tzinor. Now, a tzinor, we learned in the last Mishnah, a tzinor was a pipe like a gutter. Now, the idea is if the gutter has what's called a beit kibul. A beit kibul means it can hold like a cup. Like a cup is a beit kibul, so it can hold something. Then it's any water that passes through it has a status of mayim she'uvim, drawn water, and it's going to pass all the mikveh. But if the tzinor is flat, it's a pipe, it doesn't hold any water, then it doesn't hold anything. The water is not mayim she'uvim, it is no beit kibul. Yesterday, in the last Mishnah, when we talked about the pipe, we talked about, there's a kli under there, but we resolved it by saying, listen, it's talking about a case where you attach to the house and then you shoot out the pipe. So we don't want to talk about beit kibul. But in our Mishnah now, we're going to talk about batei kibul. We're going to talk about these pipes and when they make the water mayim she'uvim and when they don't. So it says the Mishnah, chotet b'tzinor. Chotet means, actually look this up, it means to hew or hollow out. You hollow out the tzinor, meaning, and you're talking about a case where you're making the pipe. In this case, you're making the pipe before you attach it. So it's going to be a pipe, it's going to have the din of a kli, has the status of a vessel. So now, what you do is they made the pipe, but you chotet, you hewed it out. The kabel tzorot, you want the pipe, you made an indentation. I'll show you a picture. You make an indentation in the pipe so that it'll catch tzorot, it'll catch pebbles, because you don't want it to block the flow, and then it's cleaning out. It's a very clever thing. That's what they did. So now the problem is, now the pipe, even though normally the water will flow straight through, it has now a small beit kibul. It's got a place to hold the water. So does that make it mayim she'uvim, says the Mishnah? Well, so if you do that, if you hew out your pipe, the kabel tzorot, to catch pebbles, b'shel eitz, or it's made of wood, kol shehu, any size indentation to hold water, any indentation makes it mayim she'uvim. Okay, so normally, derech tzinor liyah patuch min shnei tzadim, the pipe is open from both sides. Ve'en posel et mikveh, it doesn't posel the mikveh, it doesn't negate the mikveh, disqualified. Ela imken chakak bo chakak meod, unless you hewed out a small amount in order to catch the stones. Okay, and this is talking about a case where you hewed out before you hewed it. That's hard to say. You hewed it before you attached it. Ubeshel cheres, if you did it of earthenware, revi'it, has to be the size that it can catch a revi'it of water. Rabbi Yossi says, apeshel cheres kashrut, doesn't matter even if it's made of earthenware, any amount. So where did we get this idea of the size of a revi'it? Lo amru revi'it ela b'shivrei klei cheres. You might remember from Masechet Kelim, we said if you have a broken klei cheres, what's the minimum size of the kli cheres in order for it to be usable as a kli in mekabel tum'ah? It has to be a revi'it, the size of a revi'it, but the size that you hew out your pipe, that's kol shu. That's Rabbi Yossi's opinion. Now, how you made this indentation, and there are pebbles in it, and pebbles are gathering in the indentation. They're rolling around. They're rolling around inside that indentation, inside that catch pocket. They're not stuck to it. Says the Bartunura. Even though it's filled, it's full of them, but they're moving around. Okay? So if the pebbles are filled up that indentation, but they're moving around, mikveh, then the waters that pass through post-limit mikveh, right? Here we have pebbles here, water's passing through, but they're moving around. But the Mishnah says, but yarad tocho afar v'nichvash. But if dust entered into the indentation of v'nichvash, kavash means it hardened. Okay, hafar nikva v'naseh mehudak, it became permanent, got stuck there yafeh. V'amayim ovrim alav, and the water passes onto it. So let's go back to our picture. If there's dirt in it that fills the indentation, so now what you have there is just a pipe. So because it's full and you no longer have an indentation. So therefore the water that passes through is not mayim she'uvim. It's not mayim she'uvim. And therefore the Mishnah says, then in that case, kasher. Silon is the kind of pipe. Shutzar mikan and mikan. It's narrow at both ends. V'rachab min ems, and wider in the middle. Eino posel. That's not posel. B'bnei shalom na'asal lekabbalah. It wasn't made in order to catch things. Okay? Nonetheless, even though it's rachab be'emza, it's wide in the middle, lo na'aseh lekabbalah. I'll just show you that picture. Here we are. We have this picture. It's a pipe. I'm not sure why you'd make it that way, but narrow here and narrow there, and it's wide in the middle. It's not made to catch stuff. It's just made that way, and therefore the water that passes through it is not Maim Shuvim. We'll stop here, dedicate our learning to memory of my father, Reb Simcha ben Yitzchak Kalman. Make it a great day.